for my. This is just for the camera. Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just shows you the screen's on, something on the screen, right? Okay. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 5, text number 24. The chapter is called The Demigod's Appeal to the Lord. So we'll just chant the Sanskrit. Shri Shuka Uvacha Idyavasya Saran Veda Saha Devar Arindama Ajitasya Padang Saksha Jagama Tamasa Param Sri Sukha Uvacha Ityabhasya Suran Veda Saha Devar Arindama Ajitasya Padang Sakshaj Jagama Tamasa Param Sri Sukha Uvacha Ityabhasya Saran Veda Saha Devar Arindama Ajitasya Padang Sakshaj Jagama Tamasa Param Sri Sukha Uvacha Ityabhasya Suran Veda Saha Devar Arindama Ajitasya Padang Sakshaj Jagama Tamasa Param Sri Sukha Uvacha Ityabhasya Suran Veda Sahadevar Arindama Ajintasya Padang Sakshad Jagama Tamasa Param. You sure you don't want to try? Nice and slow? Okay, no problem. Word for word synonyms. Sri Sukha Uvacha. Sri Shukadev Goswami said. Actually, that's on the screen too. Iti, thus, Abhasha, talking, Saran, unto the demigods, Vedaha, Lord Brahma, who is the head of this universe and who gives everyone good sense in Vedic knowledge. Lord Brahma, who is the head of this universe and who gives everyone good sense in Vedic knowledge. Saha, with, Devai, the demigods, Arim Dhamma, O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of all kinds of enemies, such as the senses. Ajitasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Padam, to the place. Sakshat, directly. Thank you. Jagama went. Tamasaha, the world of darkness. Param, transcendental too. Oh, actually, transcendental to beyond. Okay. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of all enemies, after Lord Brahma finished speaking to the demigods, he took them with him to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is beyond this material world. The Lord's abode is on an island called Shweta-dweep, which is situated in the ocean of milk. Repeat after me. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of all enemies, after Lord Brahma finished speaking to the demigods, he took them with him to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is beyond this material world. The Lord's abode is on an island called Shweta-dweep, which is situated in the ocean of milk. An ocean of milk, imagine. Okay, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Maharaj Parikshit is addressed here as Arindama, subduer of all enemies. Not only do we have enemies outside of our bodies, but within our bodies there are many enemies, such as lusty desires, anger, and greed. Maharaj Parikshit is specifically addressed as Arindama because in his political life he was able to subdue all kinds of enemies, and even though he was a young king, as soon as he heard that he was going to die within 7 days, he immediately left his kingdom. He did not follow the dictates of enemies within his body, such as lust, greed, and anger. He was not at all angry with the Muni's son who had cursed him. Rather, he accepted the curse and prepared for his death in the association of Shukadev Goswami. Death is inevitable. No one could surpass the force of death. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, while fully alive, wanted to hear the Srimad-bhagavatam. He is consequently addressed here as Arindama. Another word, Sura Priya, is also significant. Although Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is equal toward everyone, he is especially inclined towards his devotees. Ye bhajanti tu mang bhakta mayi te teshu chapyaham. The devotees are all demigods. There are 2 kinds of men within this world. One is called Deva, and the other is called Asura. The Padma Purana states, Dwa bhuta sargo lokesmin daiva asura eva cha Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asuras tad viparyayaha. Anyone who is a devotee of Lord Krishna is called a Deva, and others, even though they may be devotees of demigods, are called asuras. So only devotees of Krishna are called demigods or devotees. Ravana, for example, was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he is described as an asura. Asura means demon. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu is described as a great devotee of Lord Brahma, yet he was also an asura. Therefore, only the devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Sura, not Asura. So Sura means godly, and Asura means the opposite, which means demon. Lord Krishna is very much pleased with his devotees, even if they are not on the topmost stage of devotional service. Even on the lower stage of devotional service, one is transcendental, and if one continues with devotional life, he continues to be a deva or sura. If one continues in this way, Krishna will always be pleased with him and will give him all instructions so that he may very easily return home back to Godhead. Consequently, Ajitasha Padam, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not consequently, concerning Ajitasha Padam, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the milk ocean of this material world, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Padang Shiro Dadi Sta Sweta Dvipang Tamasaha Prakrite Param. The island known as Sweta Dweep, which is in the ocean of milk, is transcendental. It has nothing to do with this material world. A city government may have a rest house where the governor and important government officers stay. Such a rest house is not an ordinary house. Similarly, although Sweta Dweep, which is in the ocean of milk, is in this material world, it is Param Padam, or transcendental. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gnanajana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So there are many good points here. So start from the beginning. So Maharaj Parikshit is addressed as Arindama, which means subduer of all enemies. So as a king, of course, he was very powerful, and nobody could defeat him. He could conquer anyone. He even confronted the personality of Kali, who nobody can conquer over. But he confronted him, and he was about ready to kill him. But the personality of Kali, who at that time was mistreating a cow and a bull, when Maharaj Parikshit was about ready to kill him, then the Kali surrendered to him, and he surrendered to the king. If you submit to the king, then of course the king has to protect you. If you actually really surrender, you're a good law-abiding citizen. So he has to give you protection. So he did that, but he told him, and you can only live in those places where there's no animal slaughter, where there's no prostitution, where there's no gambling and eating illicit sex, intoxication. Those four things, like our four regular principles. So he gave him those four places, which you would think, wow, you think of the world today, and you think, wow, Kali you could live anywhere. But Kali said, but Maharaj Parikshit, that's not possible, because in your kingdom, these places don't exist. There were no such places in Maharaj Parikshit's kingdom. I mean, he was that good of a king that there was no animal slaughter, illicit sex, intoxication, or gambling at that time. So then he said, because he still had to give him a place to live. So then he said, anywhere where there's greed, or he said it's the hoarding of gold. hoarding means it's greediness. So wherever there's greed, you can stay there. And the reason was because he knew that Maharaj Parikshit knew that wherever there was that, then these other things would start to develop in time. So Kali got those places. And significant for us, because we always want to see Srimad-bhagavatam, what lessons are, what practical lessons are here that we learn from? What are practical lessons that that we can take along with us to help us in our spiritual lives? So we, of course, in practicing Krishna consciousness, we follow those regular principles. That's if we want to really advance, we have to follow all four of those. And why? Because the personality of Kali, who, as Srila Prabhupada says, describes as the accelerating agent for irreligious principles. It means if there's no irreligious principle, then Kali can't do anything. And when Kali comes in, then he makes it really bad because he just increases whatever sinful activity there are. He by his potency, he increases that more and more, which we see is what's happening in the world. So we're practicing Krishna consciousness, so therefore it's a very strict rule that we do not eat illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. Because as long as we don't do these things, Kali cannot come in and degrade us. Okay? And of course we chant Hare Krishna because chanting Hare Krishna is the means of purification in this age, and it also gives us that higher taste so that we do not become attracted to those four do nots, those four regular principles that we avoid. So Kali cannot come in, and at the same time we are chanting Hare Krishna and getting purified and that. So anyway, that was Maharaj Parikshit. Now Maharaj Parikshit, he had actually been cursed. He was a great king, but ultimately we have to say by higher arrangement. He was cursed by a young Brahmana boy who wasn't very qualified as a Brahmana. He had power, but he had no culture. And Kali apparently came in through him also, because the king had been he was out doing his kingly duties, and he came across, and all of a sudden he became very hungry and thirsty and exhausted, and he just needed to stop and recuperate a little bit. So he, at that point that he felt this great fatigue, he came across the hut of one saintly person who was very advanced in spiritual life, so advanced that he would sit there for hours at a time and go into deep meditation, deep samadhi, thinking about devotional service and serving Krishna, and completely unaware of anything that's around him. He was very transcendent. He was completely absorbed. So Maharaj Parikshit, by higher arrangement, by Lord Krishna's arrangement actually, he happened to experience this great this great fatigue just at that moment when the saintly person was kind of like in another world. His consciousness was not at all around him. So Maharaj Parikshit, being the king, and the saintly person should have normally, if he knew that the king was there, should have, any guest, any visitor, you at least give him a place to sit down, give him some water, something, there's some basic etiquette. So Maharaj Parikshit, for some reason, again by higher arrangement, for this other purpose, which we'll come to. He just simply didn't seem to be aware that the saint was in this deep meditation and completely unaware that he was there. So he was thinking, why is this person ignoring me? Again, this wasn't Maharaj Parikshit's nature, but the thought came in his mind. So he got upset, and he to insult the saint, the sage, he picked up a dead snake that just happened to be laying outside the hut, and put like a garland around the sage's neck. It was meant as an insult. Again, something strange, because how many times do you find a dead snake laying around outside your house? But again, he found this dead snake, and he did like this, and then he left. He went back to his palace. So, but while this is all happening, the son of the sage was watching with his friends, and from a little distance, and he got very upset, and he didn't understand the king's position. I mean, this was no ordinary king. He's like the emperor of the whole world at the time. And so the son didn't understand his position, and he took a great offense that the king did this. And so he's saying, okay, I'm going to show this king. I'm going to curse him. And he made a curse. And he actually had the ability. The Brahmana said actually had the ability to make curses like this. So he made a curse of this king because of his low-class activity. I curse him to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird, some magical creature, but he cursed him like that. So the king later on, the father who had been in meditation, his son told him what he had done, and the father was very upset. You just cursed the king. You cursed the emperor. So he felt his duty, and he went to the palace of Maharaj Parikshit and told him what had happened. And imagine if we were a king, and we were in the palace, and we were told that someone actually cursed us to die in 7 days, and we knew that the curse was real. What would we think? We'd probably, first of all, we'd get pretty angry. maybe afraid. What am I going to do? 7 days, what am I going to do? I got so many things. You go crazy over it. But the king, he had no sense. He was not even angry with the boy who cursed him. As far as he was concerned, this was Krishna's arrangement, God's arrangement, that he knew he had 7 days. Renounce all this worldly duties of kings and so on. He handed over his kingdom to a suitable person, and he went and immediately went off to the bank of the Ganges River, sacred river, and he stopped eating, no drinking, no sleeping, actually, for 7 days. And at first he was asking different saints, because the word got out very quickly that the emperor is about to die. And so people were coming from all over to see him, to be with him at that time, because he was a very well-known and loved person. And he was asking different saintly persons, so what is one supposed to do at the time of death when he's about ready to die? And they're giving different suggestions. And then Shukadev Goswami, who actually was speaking this verse that we're discussing today, he came by, and everyone saw him there, and they can understand because they know this science of physiognomy, which means that you can, by looking at someone, how they walk, there's certain characteristics. I don't know the science, but that's the principle. You look at someone, and you can understand so many things about them. They understood that he was a very qualified person, and Maharaj Pariksit wanted to hear about basically he wanted to hear the Srimad-bhagavatam. He wanted to hear about God from him at these last days of his life, and that's how the Srimad-bhagavatam was first spoken. So anyway, the point in going with the purport here, the king is said to be the conqueror of all the enemies. So of course the enemies of who cause human enemies who cause problems in his kingdom, and the enemies like lust, anger, and greed. He was not controlled or bothered by those kind of enemies that we all struggle with. He was so transcendental. He was able to walk out, leave all his materialistic activities and duties and so on, and simply use his last 7 days 100% in hearing about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was ready for that. He saw it as God's arrangement that this happened, and now I can concentrate on my spiritual life. Very good example. And then, of course, in the Srimad-bhagavatam was all spoken to him, and it was again spoken by Srila Sutta Goswami, who was also present when he was hearing this from Sukadeva Goswami. Anyway, I don't want to go too much more into that because we have a couple more points here, and I don't have the time I had before. I got to cut it at 8:30. Another word. Sura Priya is also significant. Although Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, is equal to everyone, he is especially inclined towards his devotees. So there are many people who are devotees of someone, but here Srila Prabhupada is very specific, very directly saying that if someone is not a devotee of Krishna, even if he's a super great devotee of some demigod, he's considered asura. I never really thought like that, but that's what it's saying here. You're devotee means devotee of Krishna, and even if you're a great devotee of a demigod, because you become a devotee of demigods for the purpose of getting some kind of material gains, kind of material. It's like a business deal. Okay, I'll be your devotee. I'll do your worship, and I know you're going to give me some particular kind of material benefit. So it's and they're not necessarily even caring about Lord Krishna, who's the source of everything, including the source of the demigods and the source of the powers that the demigods have that they're giving these benedictions. So here we want to be, even though the Vedas have a lot of information about demigods and worship of the demigods and all kinds of material kind of sacrifices and so on, but we are encouraged because we're hearing from the proper source to reject all that. We don't accept any of that, and we just concentrate on the essence of the spiritual essence. And if we look at what Srila Prabhupada gave us, the books he gave us, he didn't give us books on how to worship Lord Indra or Brahma or Lord Shiva, or how to develop the different kinds of mystic cities where you can become, bigger than the biggest, or smaller than the smallest, or lighter than the lightest, and fly in the air, those kind of things. And all that's there in the Vedas. But Srila Prabhupada didn't give us these things. He mentioned them sometimes, but he didn't give us knowledge. Here's how you do this. I mean, we probably couldn't do it anyway if we had the knowledge. He gave us Bhagavad Gita. He gave us Srimad-bhagavatam. He gave us Chaitanya Charitamrita. He gave us like Nectar of Instruction, which is very, very important. It's a small book, very small book. It's about 11 verses, but it has so much knowledge for one who's practicing spiritual life. He gave us the essence of and the cream of all these Vedic literatures, and he also quoted and referred to many books that were written by the previous acharyas, like Shishi Gauditai, Shishi Radha, Vrita Bihari, Dikana, Palaram, Lady Subhadri, and Shigade, Prahlad Maharaj, Ki. He gave us so many wonderful books and so many wonderful instructions. All these were all about devotional service. So we can have the essence. In fact, when the sages of Naimisharanya, this is when the Srimad-bhagavatam was spoken the second time, they asked different questions to Srila Sutta Goswami, and one of those questions, they say that the Vedas are, I can't quote exactly the verse, but I'll paraphrase it. They're basically saying that there's so many kinds of Vedic literatures, so much it's not possible for anyone to read and study and understand all these Vedic literatures. Please give us the essence, what's the most important, and that was that was actually the Srimad-bhagavatam. So they recognize that although the Vedas are like the user manual for living in the material world. You get a computer, you have a user manual, so you know how to use the computer, or like that. So the user manual for living in the material world are there in the Vedas. The Vedas are so much, including medicine, astronomy, astrology, military art, and a whole bunch of other things are there in the Vedas. And that's because at any one time in the material world, most people are interested in those things. Most people at any one time are not really interested in the spiritual life at all. Most people were what were properly called karmis. Karmi means living, and your purpose in life is to try to make better arrangements for happy living or better material situation in the future. That's actually based on the Vedic scriptures. So that's most people are like that. So the Vedas give information on all these things because it's for everyone. But Srila Prabhupada and in the acharyas, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and so many before, what they gave is the spiritual essence, the devotional essence, which is to help what we need to become Krishna conscious, because that's the only thing that's going to really help us, especially in the age of Kali. And one other point, I can only make one more point here because it's getting late. One other point is that the ocean of milk. So, yes, there actually are different kinds of oceans described in the 5th canto Srimad-bhagavatam, and there's what are all those oceans? There's an ocean of ghee, an ocean of milk, liquor, yeah. And what else? I have to look those up. They're all described in the fifth canto of Srimad-bhagavatam. They're oceans. They're all, each one of them is like a ring around uh, uh, the land. Yeah. So so one of those oceans, which I have to assume is the same ones we refer to here, is an ocean of milk. And of course this ocean of milk obviously is not ordinary milk, because ordinary milk would spoil after a short time. But somehow or other there's an ocean of milk. And in that ocean of milk, there's an island. And these oceans of milk are big. These are bigger than we know as oceans on Earth. This is another part of the universe. And in the middle, in that ocean, there's an island called Shweta Dweep. Dweep means island. And on that island, in that middle of that milk ocean, there's a form of God, as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So we have the same Vishnu form that's in the heart as a super soul. God's in our heart. That same form is also, he's in everyone's heart. He's also on that planet, and but that island, at least in that ocean of milk, even though it's a material, even though the ocean of milk is in the material world, but the island is a spiritual island. That's what Srila Prabhupada was explaining here. And this is where Lord Brahma is taking going with all the demigods, where they're going to, where Brahma will, through meditation, communicate with the Lord and understand, find out what to do to take care of this problem. The problem, if you've been following the previous verses, is that the demons have basically taken over the heavenly planets. We're talking about. They've taken over the heavenly planets, and everyone's in a very difficult situation, and now they're trying to get some help in that regard. Okay, I see we have 6 minutes, so.
This island, Shweta means white. The white island.
White island. Okay.
It's an incarnation of Krishna, the beginning of Satya Yuga.
Speak directly into the microphone. That way, those who are watching can actually hear. Yeah. It's not a loudspeaker. It's not a loudspeaker microphone. It's simply for the camera and for the.
Shweta means white, and Kripa means island, white island. And within the universe, there is a Vaikuntha planet that is called Prapanchita Vaikuntha. The Vaikuntha that is within the material world or is beyond the world of nature. So in that Vaikuntha planet, that Vaikuntha planet is like an embassy of the Vaikuntha planet within the universe. Just like we have an American embassy in every country, an American territory, sovereign. So there is a Vaikuntha within the planet, within the material world. So in that Vaikuntha there is an ocean of milk. And inside that ocean, like you said, there is an island. Paramatma lives, Paramatma. And that is the ocean that the demigods go, the island, the ocean. When there is a problem within the universe, the demigods approach that Vaikuntha, and from the shore of that ocean, they pray to Shirodakashayi, Paramatma, to send an avatar,
Yes.
That's why when you read the Krishna book of Srimad-bhagavatam, say that the demigods went to the ocean of milk
Mm-hmm.
to pray. So
Yes.
they approach this Vaikuntha, this embassy of the spiritual world within the universe. And from the shore of that ocean, they cannot go inside of the way because they don't have that capacity. And from the ocean, they pray, oh, please, Lord, send an avatar.
Yes.
And from that, through that, Shiva Kasai Vishnu, Vishnu's avatars come to
Yeah, they're all praying, and then Lord Brahma, he's in meditation, and he's receiving the instruction from the Lord.
And here also we read that Brahma to the demigods, to the supreme lords above. From the verse, to the demigods, to the Brahma finished speaking to the demigods. He took them with him to the abode of the supreme personality of God, which is beyond the material world. So that means that Brahma is a being and Guru. That's the function of the Guru. Guru speaks to the disciple, and by his power, he leads the disciple to the spiritual world.
Mm.
So that's what Brahma is doing here. He's the head of our Sampradaya, Brahma Madhava Sampradaya. So he's acting as Guru, not as the creator of the universe, but acting as Guru. He gives some instructions to the conditioned exalted demigod, and then you come with me, and he leads them to the Supreme Lord. And he's acting as Guru.
Good point. Thank you. Any? Microphone.
Yes, I have a question about the qualifications, the Prabhupada's description of the true devotee. So he said that only those who worship Lord Krishna are considered devotees. The rest of the world who are worshiping demigods are asuras.
That's what it says here. There are different ways, because other times it's divided into four. The second class devotee is supposed to see, you see the Supreme Lord, you see the devotees, you see the innocent, and you see the atheist and non-devotees. So there's that description too. But yeah, that's what this is saying here.
In my opinion, I don't know if it's the right one. He uses the word Ashura for those people who worship the demigods, because the symptom of an Ashura is that he's materialistic. He wants material gain. No?
Mm.
That's the mean Shura, divine, Ashura. Shura, divine, Ashura, not divine.
Yes.
So people who worship demigods, they are after material profit.
Mm.
So in that sense, profit is the word Ashura. The consciousness is just like those who want material profit. Like the Prabhupada said, an animal is chasing the female dog on the street, is chasing the female dog on four legs.
Mm.
And the mother man is chasing a woman in four wheels. No? So
Yeah.
the mentality is the same. One is a man, the other is a dog, with the same mentality. Both of them are after sex life. So the Ashuras, they are after material power. And those who worship demigods, they have the same mentality. They are after material power. And in my consideration, that's why he said they are also Ashuras.
Yeah, because you say there's either devotees or there's demons.
Those who worship demigods are not Ashuras in a sense, because they are all after material power. Krishna called them fire people, no? Fire people. But also at the same time, they call them mooners. People less intelligent people. They are after temporary things. But in another sense, he said, well, they are pious because somehow or other they are trying. So you have this duality, different perspectives. And Prabhupada sometimes uses the terms in a very elastic way, like liberated.
Yes. So do you understand? You still have the.
Yeah, but there is like a triad of demigods, right? Vishnu is also a demigod. Demigod.
No, Vishnu,
Shiva and Brahma.
yeah, he functions sometimes in that position like demigod, but he's not actually a demigod in this sense. Demigods are all created by God, and Vishnu is not God. He's not a demigod. He's a creator, like that.
Vishnu personifies the mode of goodness.
Yeah, mode of goodness.
So to maintain it, you need goodness, sattva. That's why the devotees of Vishnu, Krishna, they are called sattvatas. Sattvatas, those who are in the mode of goodness. Whereas Brahman personifies the mode of passion, Rajaguna, and Shiva, Kamaguna, is in charge of destruction. Vishnu maintains the universe, no? With his Shakti. So he's Sattva, Sattva-guna, within the universe, the maintainer, no?
Yes.
Krishna describes himself in the Bhagavad Gita as the maintainer of everything.
Yes.
I am the maintainer of everything. So that's why he is the Lord of the mode of goodness, Sattva-guna. And the devotees who are supposed to be in the mode of goodness, they are called Sattva. Those who are in the mode of goodness.
I think I'm now we have trouble. So I guess we'll officially end here. Thank you. I didn't even see if they had questions here. No one has any questions. Okay, we'll end here. Tomorrow Sunday. Tomorrow we'll read Chaitanya Charitamrita.